Let's talk about America's team. What'd you think of that comment?
Par for the course. Look, none of us can look away from this because he's incredibly polarizing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's funny, when this stuff started to kind of, and when I say this stuff, I mean like 2 days ago stuff, because it's all so long, but I was like, oh yeah, I forgot. I got this big thing with Judge Judy.
Yeah.
And him and I think Jack, may have been the first day, I remember we did like one of the first national interviews with him in Ann Arbor. And it was like, just get there, Jim's going to do it now. And he went off on this random, not a rant, because it wasn't a rant, he wasn't pissed off about it, but it was like something about like Judge Judy, and I'm like sitting there going, are we gonna use this? Or like, you know, he went down this, like he's fascinated by all this stuff. Bobby Perry Mason, I think he referenced A Few Good Men the other day, and you know, like maybe Rob Reiner. I you know, like it's very surreal with Jim Harbaugh.
Yeah.
Very.
Yeah, he talked about, you know, because he sounded like he had a cold or something like that, and he said viruses is like he's the wall that viruses bounce off of, and how he's now raising chickens, so he doesn't have a problem with people eating the nervous bird and stuff like. I mean, bottom line is, what happens Friday? What is going on here? Like, what happens on Friday when there is a hearing for a temporary restraining order to get Jim Harbaugh back on the sideline?
And get them through Ohio State.
Well, I guess. I don't know. I mean, you know, what's your sense on how this works? Is this going to be like a Jim, you know, the team's flying to Maryland while he's sitting in front of a judge testifying? Is that what's happening?
This.
Or like, how's this work?
All the people who you would think matter were very convinced that they will win this. And
on Friday. Well, weren't they convinced that they were going to win it last Friday?
Friday. People, you know, whether it's the Big Ten, whether it's on the Harbaugh side, were like, oh yeah, legal people were like, okay, he's going to get cleared, like that. And it was almost like, okay, maybe this is the best case scenario for Tony Petitti, in that he looks like he's standing up for the rest of the Big Ten, does what he can do, and then all of a sudden it goes into a Michigan judge, and the Michigan judge was like, and he's cleared. Now, look, that's that judge right now on Friday. Jim Harbaugh being there in person.
He says he wants to speak.
Let him speak, man. Like, I do think, you know, the part that's crazy in this is like in the statement Tony Petitti put out on Friday, last Friday, was we're not sanctioning Jim Harbaugh.
Oh, whatever. That was the legalese stuff to try and, you know, basically tell a judge that's looking at this, there's no irreparable harm because we're not going against the coach. This is nothing personal at all. Remember last month or whatever we were talking about it, and I've said it's not personal with Jim, and you kind of shot me one of your famed looks when we're having this conversation. But of course it's personal. There is nothing in my mind that I don't doubt that it is something personal against Jim Harbaugh, but they're allowing him to coach during the week, but just not on the weekend. Like, what sort of cockamamie arrangement is that?
The weird part of this, and as we take like 2 steps back, is that I think Tony Petitti got himself in a untenable position by having these meetings with the other coaches from the conference, because at that point it comes into, you know, I don't know if I can say, so if I don't know if I can say it, I can't say it on this, but like a crime, you know, like you're just all coming down and going, hey, this is wrong, and they're putting so much pressure on him, where you almost never have that in any form of an NCAA justice system.
Ever. This is so unprecedented in the fact that the investigation is not complete. It's not complete. And it's just like, if you have something, put it out there. You know what I'm saying?
The part that I will like push back on that is like, okay, the evidence that they have, and they shared it with, you know, the NCAA on a call with
Michigan lawyers and regents were listening in or something, and like all
this, but they shared it with Michigan, and so they can go through the evidence, and some of the video evidence that they have could be damning for Connor Stallions and Michigan, and Jim Harbaugh is the head coach, so he's oversees all that. Now, what the punishment is for all that, because if, you know, I'm sitting there going, okay, that taints, you know, Jim Harbaugh is the head coach, that this happened on them, and they've shown this evidence or whatever. But then, what is that worth? Is that worth, X amount of dollars, because they could fine him $1 billion and that wouldn't matter. Like that, to me would be like, that's not going to be good enough for anybody in the Big Ten. They could, but it has to be the suspension of Jim Harbaugh. But how long is Jim Harbaugh supposed to be suspended for this?
Because we don't know. You can't tell. It's totally arbitrary. Let's just choose 3 games because it's the rest of the regular season. Because we don't know what Jim is guilty of, other than currently right now running a program where somebody was running completely amok.
But
and
he's responsible for it.
According to the NCAA, not the Big Ten. Am I
wrong?
wrong?
The Big Ten is part of the NCAA.
Well, no, but the Big Ten's rules.
Yes.
Right? I mean, I did my best to read that 10-page document or 12-page document, whatever it was, that was attached to the 4-paragraph statement saying Jim's out, where there will be no questions taken. And I did my best to read it. And all I kept thinking to myself was, where'd the 3 games come from? Is it just because it's the rest of the regular season?
It's the most important part of the regular season.
I guess, look, man, we can go back and forth on.
Let me ask you this.
Sure.
If you're Ryan Day, the last 2 years have been what they have in the Big Ten. Ryan Day, great coach. Mm-hmm. Michigan's had their number the last 2 years. If you're going into this, do you this shouldn't be the justice system of how the Big Ten operates. But if I'm them, if I'm Ryan Day, I actually want Jim Harbaugh to be the coach of Michigan when I play him. Because what happens? You beat them. Now, we just saw them beat Penn State. It was at Penn State. They were the better team. Maryland, I think you could coach them against Maryland.
Oh, you do?
Oh, I do.
Okay.
I do.
All right. I'm not available.
But again, not a knock on Sharon Moore. Not even really a knock on Maryland. It's just I think they're that much better.
Okay. Catch the Rich Eisen Show every single day on the Roku channel, 12 to 3 Eastern, for free.